When I met Nancy's father to formally introduce myself for marriage, he looked down on me and suddenly started yelling. "You're a high school graduate, I hear. I won't let my daughter marry a high school graduate." Although I was somewhat prepared, it was still harsh to hear. I thought, what an unfortunate girl Nancy is. At the same time, I wanted to rescue her somehow. "Hey, you high school dropout, get out of here right now," he continued. "Understood, I'll leave," I said, and then called my secretary on the phone. After a while, my secretary entered the room. "Who are you?" Nancy's father asked. "I am Michael, and I turned 62 this year. Unfortunately, I'm still single. It's not that I was never interested in marriage. There were women I thought about marrying in the past, but we never made it to getting married and eventually broke up. Each time, I would dive back into my work, and before I knew it, I had reached this age. To be honest, now I'm more concerned about finishing up my time at the company rather than getting married. The company I'm currently with is performing quite poorly. Identifying the causes of the decline and turning things around is what I consider my final job. I joined this company 2 months ago, and I have finally gotten used to it. But the atmosphere of the company is pretty bad." "Good morning." "Oh, good morning." Her name is Nancy. She works in accounting at the company, and she's been helping me figure out solutions to the poor performance. She must be 32 this year. To me, she's like a daughter, very serious and incredibly helpful. Lately, I can't stop thinking about her. Sometimes she looks incredibly troubled. "What's wrong? Is something the matter?" I asked her. "Oh yeah, I'm fine," she replied. "You can always talk to me about anything." "Thank you." We always had these kinds of exchanges. A few days later, I had to go to another department, and it was late when I returned to accounting. Everyone had left, and the office was empty except for Nancy, who was still there. "What? Still working?" Asterisk, sniff. Asterisk, when I looked, I saw that Nancy was crying. "I'm sorry, what's wrong?" "Well, I might not be much help, but talking about it could make you feel better. Won't you tell me what's going on? I shouldn't trouble you with this." "Don't worry about it. It's the least I can do for all the help you've given me at work." With that, Nancy finally opened up. "I'm sorry to worry you. Sometimes I wonder what I'm living for. I'm scared to go home." "Did something happen at home?" When I said that, she began to speak quietly. Her parents were what you'd call toxic. It seems like her entire salary from this job is being siphoned off by her parents, especially Nancy's mother, who seemed quite greedy about money. "This month's paycheck is too small, isn't it? That's all of it. You could increase it by working overtime, right? Children are supposed to make their parents' lives easier. This amount won't ease anything. You're really useless." On payday, she was typically told things like this, and her entire paycheck was taken away. "And the president of this company is my father." What? I had yet to meet the president. I think my father only sees me as a tool of his own. According to her, Nancy's father likes to dominate, and even at 32, he checks her cell phone every day. Since the parents pay for the cell phone, they feel it's only natural they have the right to check it. "Hand it over now." If she refuses to hand over the phone, "If you don't hand it over, I'll cut off your phone," he threatens. Since Nancy's salary is entirely taken by her mother, she couldn't possibly pay the cell phone bill herself. He checks all her contacts in the phone, and if any man's names are saved, they are immediately deleted in a tyrannical fashion. If she comes home late, she's interrogated about where she was, who she was with, and what she was doing. It seems Nancy's father wants to keep her tied to the house. He wants her within his sight and making his life easier. Hearing this, I understood why she was so considerate. It made strange sense to me. I also began to understand why her father had her working in his company. If she's within sight, any man approaching her could be immediately deterred. Then why hasn't he said anything to me? Is it because of my age? Am I not considered a threat? Does he even realize I work at this company? All these questions started floating in my mind. Meanwhile, Nancy continued speaking. "I don't have any freedom. It seems like I've always had to live for my parents." "Has it always been like this since you were little?" "Yes, always. It seems this wasn't something that just started recently." "Useless. I don't need you anymore. I'll throw you away." From a young age, Nancy was raised hearing things like this. Because of that, she did the household chores instead of her mother to feel needed. Nancy's mother can't do housework, and when Nancy tries to clean up, is that some kind of sarcasm? Nancy's mother would start raging if she stopped cleaning, and she'd be scolded for that too. As a child, she was troubled about what to do when her mother was in a bad mood. Her mother just wanted to yell, talking endlessly when angry and not listening to anything Nancy had to say. If Nancy ever tried to voice her opinion, it would set her mother off. Nancy had to keep saying yes until her mother was satisfied. I was a child, so I didn't know about the term toxic parents. I took everything my parents said as absolute, believing that everything that happened was my fault. I thought about leaving this world many times. How can I get some relief? If I were to leave this world, would anyone be sad? Even now, she finds herself thinking these thoughts. The painful expression she sometimes showed me now made sense. I see, it's been tough, huh? And still is, Nancy replied, a bit teary-eyed. I do have a dream, even someone like me. What kind of dream? It's been my dream since elementary school to live on my own, to live alone. You're thinking, is that all? Well, yeah. My parents see me as nothing more than a maid, a cash cow. I want to get away from such people. I want my own time. Is it wrong for me to feel this way? Not at all. And I think it'll come true soon. What? Hearing Nancy's story made me think about how unfortunate she was. At the same time, I wanted to somehow rescue her. You'll need to be ready to leave your parents, but can you do that? If you stay with your parents, Nancy, you'll be ruined. I have a plan. As I listened to Nancy, I explained the plan I had thought of. Really? Can I do that? Nancy seemed quite surprised by my plan. Yes, my plan was for us to pretend to get married so you could leave your home. They'll find out it's a lie soon enough. That's okay. It's after you cut ties with your parents. Given my age, Nancy's parents will definitely oppose it. If they oppose, you can just say you're cutting parental ties and leave. But I actually only have a high school diploma. My parents thought it wasteful to spend money on university, so they didn't let me go. What company would hire someone with just a high school diploma? Don't worry about that. I'm a high school graduate too, and there are plenty of companies that would hire someone like you, Nancy. I guarantee it. I had been working with Nancy for about 2 months. Seeing her work, it's hard to believe she learned accounting on her own. I was convinced she was a valuable asset. A few days later, the day came to meet Nancy's parents. Nancy had been worried ever since. It's up to you, Nancy. If you're really ready to cut ties with your parents, you'll be fine, I kept reassuring her. Entering Nancy's house, I greeted her parents. Both of Nancy's parents had a brash demeanor, nothing like Nancy. What brings you here today? Her father asked. Yes, I'm considering marrying Nancy. Don't joke with me. As soon as I said that, he began to yell. I've heard about you. You're a high school graduate, I hear. I won't let my daughter marry a high school graduate. Apparently, Nancy had told her father. That was exactly what I had anticipated. Nancy, you're being deceived by this high school dropout, aren't you? And how old are you? I'll be 62 this year. 62? Absolutely not. There's no way I can approve of a 62-year-old high school graduate. You must not be good for much anyway. What's good about a poor-looking man like that? I was somewhat prepared, but it was still harsh to hear. If you won't approve of the marriage, then we'll have to sever our family ties. Nancy, I won't allow you to leave home. You're the high school dropout. Get out of here. Understood. I'm leaving, and I'm taking Nancy with me. Saying that, I called my secretary on the phone. After a while, the secretary came in. Who are you? President, are you back? Oh, President. There's no way this poor-looking high school dropout could be a president. Which company is this? Watch your mouth. Who do you think you're speaking to? It's unbelievable, but you don't know, do you? If you don't know, let me enlighten you. This man is the president of your parent company. There is no room for rudeness. I can understand why they wouldn't recognize me. After all, I only became the president 3 months ago. That's enough. I'm sorry, but could you help Nancy with her luggage? Even the president can be too subtle. You should have just told them straight, Nancy said. So, I'll be taking Nancy with me. Nancy's parents were frozen by the secretary's words. I had forgotten to tell Nancy as well, so she seemed quite surprised. Oh right, your company's performance has been so poor that I had to conduct an internal investigation. I'll decide what to do about it soon. What do you mean, decide what to do? Exactly what I said. What will happen to me? Are you more concerned about yourself than the company and your employees? From what I've seen, you have excellent employees, which surprised me. Despite that, there's no growth in performance. I've concluded that it's because you are too autocratic. You understand what I'm saying, right? Be prepared. That's ridiculous. You? What are you going to do? I don't want this. Can we do something about it? Do something like what? Maybe find a position at a related company? I can't do that as a high school dropout. Where's that energy you had just a moment ago? If you had the power you were showing while yelling at me, you could make it anywhere. But please, somehow, it's always about you, isn't it? I'm at a loss for words. I'm going back. If you need me, I'll be at the office. With that, I tried to leave Nancy's house in a panic. Nancy's mother came out. Nancy, what about your mother? Are you leaving me too? Have you forgotten all I've done to raise you, you ungrateful child? Just let me be free for once. Haven't I always done as you asked until now? Don't bother me anymore. What about the money? You'll send money home, right? I later learned that although Nancy had been handing over her entire paycheck, she had been given a small allowance. This allowance was barely enough to cover her basic personal needs. I've been giving you money faithfully every month, haven't I? Take care of your own living expenses. Isn't it natural for children to take care of their parents? You're abandoning that responsibility. Yes, that's why I'm saying I'm cutting ties. How am I supposed to live now? It seemed Nancy's parents had always lived selfishly. As long as they were comfortable and secure, that was all that mattered. Nancy was never included in their comfort. They never got involved in anything inconvenient or troublesome. All these inconveniences and troubles had been pushed onto Nancy. That's what led to this situation. I thought that these toxic parents would only be a hindrance to Nancy's future. A parent shouldn't be allowed to crush their child's future. I had told Nancy to be firm and clear in her convictions. From the conversations I've heard, Nancy's resolve seemed firm. Goodbye. I don't expect we'll ever meet again, so take care. With that, Nancy conveyed her message to her mother and came towards the car where we were waiting. It was the moment Nancy truly became free. Thank you so much. I feel incredibly relieved. Any regrets? None at all. It was the first time I had seen Nancy smile like that. I felt it was worth enduring the harsh things Nancy's parents had said to me. Even I was hurt by being spoken to like that. Afterward, we headed to the apartment where Nancy would be living. I had already arranged a lease for Nancy's apartment beforehand. I had also prepared a new job for her. Really, thank you for everything. But I was surprised to learn that you, Michael, are the president of the parent company. I wasn't hiding it. There just wasn't a need to bring it up. From now on, you walk your own path in life. If you have troubles, I'm here to help. Saying this, I parted ways with Nancy. A few days later, Nancy's father came to the office. I apologize for my behavior the other day. You can do whatever you like with that girl. Please don't give up on our company, he said. His attitude significantly changed from before. Doesn't he care about his own daughter? I thought about asking, but I refrained. Don't worry about your daughter. I'll support Nancy so she can live the life she desires. But as for the company, I informed Nancy's father that he would have to resign as president. In return, I promised to continue the business by covering the deficits. How about that? This way, the company can be saved and employees can be retained. That's good, isn't it? That is. Nancy's father's complexion rapidly changed. Oh, what's the matter? I have worked tirelessly for the company. I cannot accept this outcome. I thought you might say that. Did you think I knew nothing during my internal investigations at the subsidiary? I visited various departments and heard stories about the president. It seems you've been treating the company as your own personal property. The employees aren't here just for you. Even if I were you, I'd make the same decision. Nancy's father sank to his knees. What will you do? It might be best to comply gracefully. Abandoned by your daughter, haven't you reflected a bit? Stop looking down on people and using them. Nancy's father was completely dejected, but it didn't end there. He was also under suspicion for embezzlement. He must have been hoarding quite a sum for himself. How long he had been embezzling money would soon be discovered. He probably didn't want to lose his position, enjoying the perks as long as he could. But such times cannot last forever. A few weeks later, Nancy's father was taken away by the police. I believe the police will uncover everything and he will never be able to return to his former life. After having made so many people suffer, he must face the consequences. As for Nancy's mother, she disappeared around the same time her husband was taken by the police. Perhaps she realized she could no longer siphon money from her husband or daughter. I wondered if Nancy's mother might be holding on to the embezzled funds, but I decided to leave everything to the police. Just when everything seemed to have settled, one troubling thing occurred. When I returned home, Nancy was waiting at my doorstep. Welcome back. What? You came again? Haven't you had dinner yet? I came to cook. Honestly, I appreciate it, but I'm concerned about what the neighbors might think with such a young woman frequently entering my house. But you said you'd marry me, didn't you? No, that was just a lie to get you out of that situation. What? That's terrible. You played with my feelings. It felt like I was being completely toyed with. Am I too old for you? That doesn't matter. She didn't seem to care at all about what I was saying. I couldn't tell anymore what was serious and what was a joke. Lately, she's been coming over almost every day. After a few months, there I was, living with Nancy. I had given in to her insistence. Isn't there someone more suitable for you? I found myself saying things that sounded like a father. Please don't ever say that again. She would get angry when I said that. You finally have your freedom. You should enjoy your life. I am enjoying my life. Being with you, Michael, is my choice, she said, and continued to take care of me diligently. Does it bother you? No, not really. I am actually quite grateful. But I want you to use your time for yourself. It is for myself. I want you to need me, Michael. Being with you, I feel at peace. When I'm with Nancy, people often think we're father and daughter. Perhaps sensing how I felt, Nancy said, "You worry too much about what others think. The world isn't going to make us happy, right? I've decided to seize my own happiness." Honestly, I'm perplexed by Nancy, but I think it's not too bad. I guess this must be happiness, as I'm beginning to feel it.